Long before dynastic Egypt emerged, before the pharaohs, and before hieroglyphs were carved into stone, the Great Sphinx of Giza may have already been ancient. In the Antediluvian interpretation, the Sphinx belongs to a forgotten civilization that existed at the end of the last ice age, 10,000 BC, when the Sahara was green, rainfall was heavy, and large populations could thrive along now-vanished river systems. This civilization is proposed to have possessed advanced stoneworking knowledge, sophisticated technologies lost to time, and a symbolic cosmology rooted in astronomy. The Sphinx, carved directly from bedrock, would have been one of its most enduring monuments. In these prehistoric times, the original Sphinx bore the head of Anubis, not as a later Egyptian invention, but as a survival of a much older archetype. It formed a monument aligned with antediluvian beliefs about cosmic order and survival through Cataclysm. Several independent lines of reasoning lead some researchers to believe the Great Sphinx of Giza originally had a jackal head rather than a human one. The first is proportional anatomy. The current head is strikingly small compared to the massive lion body, far smaller than any other Old Kingdom Sphinx. A jackal head, longer, taller, and projecting forward, would have required substantially more stone and would fit the scale of the body far more naturally, suggesting the present head is a reduced recarving rather than an original design. Geological evidence is often used to support this deep antiquity. The Sphinx enclosure displays pronounced vertical erosion patterns consistent with long-term exposure to rainfall, not wind-blown sand. Such conditions existed in Egypt thousands of years before the Old Kingdom during the African humid period. This suggests the Sphinx was already standing when dramatic climatic shifts ended the Ice Age, an event that may have contributed to the collapse of the civilization that built it. When dynastic Egyptians arrived millennia later, they encountered a colossal, eroded relic whose origins were already lost to time. Lacking the means or the motive to erase it, they instead absorbed it into their own worldview. The damaged jackal head was recarved into the likeness of a pharaoh, transforming an ancient guardian into a royal symbol of divine authority. The disproportionality of the head to the body supports the idea of reworking rather than original design. A widespread alternative belief holds that the original head of the Great Sphinx of Giza was not a jackal, but a lion. The lion form is symbolically consistent with the Sphinx's body and with the constellation Leo, which some researchers argue aligned with the monument around 10,500 BC during the precession of the equinoxes. In this view, the Sphinx began as a lion monument from a far earlier civilization and was later appropriated and modified by dynastic Egyptians who inherited and reinterpreted a much older structure. Seen this way, the Sphinx is not a single monument but a layered inheritance. It is a survivor of an antediluvian civilization, reshaped by later hands but still bearing the scars, proportions, and geological memory of a world that existed before recorded history. Today, the Great Sphinx of Giza appears as a weathered hybrid of ages, its colossal lion's body deeply scarred by erosion and restoration, while its human head sits conspicuously undersized atop the massive torso. The face is worn and asymmetrical, its features softened by millennia of wind, sand, and human intervention, yet still carrying the unmistakable stamp of dynastic authority rather than primordial design. Even today, the Great Sphinx of Giza appears to guard its antediluvian secrets with deliberate silence, its immense body concealing anomalies that hint at something more than a surface monument. Geophysical surveys and historical accounts have identified cavities, tunnels, and sealed chambers beneath and around the Sphinx, some documented by early explorers, others detected through seismic scanning yet left unexplored or inaccessible. These spaces suggest the monument may once have been part of a larger subsurface complex, potentially serving ritual, initiatory, or archival functions in a forgotten civilization that understood the value of preservation through stone. Whether these chambers contain symbolic voids, structural features, or lost knowledge, their continued inaccessibility reinforces the idea that the Sphinx is not fully understood, an inherited relic whose deepest purpose predates Egypt itself and remains deliberately out of reach. The exploration of advanced technology in ancient Egypt invites us to reconsider the narrative of human progress and the linear model of technological evolution. It raises profound questions about the transmission of knowledge, the potential for lost technologies, and the remarkable ingenuity of ancient civilizations. The Osirion, a monumental ancient structure in Abydos, approximately 350 miles south of the Great Pyramid of Giza, remains a subject of profound mystery and debate. It stands apart from all other Egyptian monuments, both architecturally and conceptually, leading many to regard it as an antediluvian structure inherited rather than built by dynastic Egypt. Furthermore, the Osirion's subterranean layout is highly unusual for Egyptian temple architecture. It is situated 15 feet below the ground level, a feature that is both unique and puzzling. Some researchers propose that this could be due to the temple being much older than the surrounding structures, possibly predating the sands and soil that have accumulated over millennia. There are also water erosion patterns found on the limestone enclosure around the site, which some researchers argue could only have occurred if the structure was built before the end of the last ice age, a time when the climate in the region was much wetter. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of the Osirion is its subterranean nature and the presence of water. Modern seismic technology has revealed that the structure extends at least 50 feet, or 15 meters below the current floor level, suggesting that what is visible today is merely the uppermost portion of a much larger construction. Moreover, seismic tests indicated the presence of hollow chambers within this depth. Just imagine what is hidden inside these underground chambers. Archaeologists still can't explore these depths due to the water that can't be pumped out as it constantly refills. The Osirion's hydraulic system is characterized by an intricate network of channels, basins, and possibly sluices, designed to control and manipulate the flow of water within the complex. The precision in the design and execution of these features indicates a deep understanding of hydraulic engineering principles, including water flow dynamics and pressure management. The sheer scale of the Osirion is breathtaking. Massive rose granite blocks, some weighing 100 tons, form the core of this structure. These colossal stones were quarried from Aswan, located a staggering 200 miles away. The logistical challenges involved in moving these massive blocks across such distances, only to be placed in a desert location several miles from the Nile, are monumental. The transportation and placement of these enormous blocks defy the capabilities attributed to ancient Egyptians. The question then arises, how were these gigantic stones moved and precisely placed without any known evidence of advanced machinery? The architecture of the Osirion further fuels this enigma. The site, featuring a complex, double-layered roofing system and about a dozen chambers, showcases a level of architectural sophistication that seems out of reach for a civilization equipped with primitive tools. Such complexity, particularly the interlocking wedges and precision in stacking the massive blocks, suggests a level of engineering knowledge not typically associated with ancient Egypt. The use of granite, a material far more challenging to work with than the more commonly used limestone, indicates a technological prowess that the ancient Egyptians, as far as historical records show, did not possess. Another mystery of the site is that it lacks any Egyptian hieroglyphs, arts, or artifacts. Absolutely nothing can link this site to the ancient Egyptians. All throughout the history of Egypt, temples and monuments built by the Egyptians were regularly renovated, and with each renovation, additional artworks and hieroglyphs were added. Yet in the Osirion, we don't see anything like that. The Valley Temple of Khafre, an integral component of the Giza Pyramid complex in Egypt, is a marvel of ancient engineering and architecture. This temple is among the best preserved ancient structures in Egypt, having remained nearly intact for thousands of years, largely due to being buried under sand until the 19th century. Its construction exhibits a level of sophistication and precision that many argue could only have been achieved through the use of advanced technology. Constructed with massive blocks of limestone and red granite, some weighing over 150 tons, the temple showcases a level of engineering sophistication that is completely out of place. The supermassive stones are a hallmark of the temple's grandeur, raising questions about the methods used in their transportation and assembly. The Valley Temple's construction technique, involving the precise fitting of massive stones without the use of mortar, is awe-inspiring. The temple's walls are assembled with such precision that they resemble a complex three-dimensional jigsaw puzzle. The manipulation of these stones, with their various exposed surfaces, corners, and angles, shows a level of skill and understanding of stonecraft that is nothing short of extraordinary. In addition to that, the incredible bent stones in the interior present a compelling enigma, raising questions about the use of advanced technology in ancient times. These stones, seamlessly integrated into the structure, appear as if they have been skillfully shaped or bent, defying the conventional understanding of ancient stonemasonry. This remarkable feat prompts us to question, how was it possible for ancient builders to manipulate such massive stones with such precision? Could there have been advanced technologies or lost methods at play, enabling them to shape these stones in ways that seem almost impossible with known tools of the era? One of the most intriguing aspects of the Valley Temple is a large black granite block on the internal eastern wall, which differs from the rest of the pink granite wall. Its placement and purpose remain a mystery, with some speculating it could mark an entrance to a subterranean passage. Despite common beliefs that the temple was used for the mummification process and purification of Pharaoh Khafre before his burial, there is a lack of concrete evidence supporting this claim. Some researchers examining the style of stonework suggest that the temple could be far older than what dynastic history indicates. The temple is devoid of paintings and inscriptions, a characteristic it shares with the pyramids. What shocked many was the Valley Temple's resemblance to structures found in distant lands, such as Peru. The similarity in design elements between the temple and sites like Ollantaytambo and the Coricancha Temple in Peru is uncanny, leading to speculation about the interconnectedness of these ancient civilizations. This resemblance has fueled debates about the possibility of a shared blueprint or knowledge among these distant cultures, a hypothesis that remains a tantalizing mystery. Research led by figures like John Anthony West, Robert Schoch, and Andrew Collins suggests that the Valley Temple, along with the Sphinx Temple, are among the oldest structures on the Giza Plateau, possibly over 10,000 years old. In Aswan, which is a city essentially perched on a giant granite outcrop, there are numerous features in the quarry that indicate the use of advanced technology that could manipulate the hard granite. This gigantic piece of granite lies in the southern part of Egypt, right next to the Nile River. It was left behind thousands of years ago in the Aswan quarries, abandoned due to a crack. It was never relocated or erected, although it was clearly meant to be. It measures an impressive 137 feet in length and weighs about 1,170 tons, which, if completed, would have made it the largest single stone monument. The obelisk is situated in a deep pit, and its extraction and transportation to its intended destination would have been an engineering feat of monumental proportions. Perhaps the unfinished obelisk was left here by a civilization that predated the dynastic Egyptians, a civilization that had the technology to manipulate the granite in such a way and be able to actually transport it to its designated place once it's finished. If we go to the unfinished obelisk itself, we can find even stranger marks on the granite surface. The surface of this massive granite slab is adorned with smooth, hollowed-out areas, giving the appearance that the granite was scooped out from the obelisk. The term scoop actually comes from several researchers who studied the structure and couldn't find a better explanation than this, saying that the rock seems to have been scooped out like a spoon would do with ice cream. Notably, the sides of the obelisk also exhibit these scooped-out features, but in a vertical and almost uniform manner, extending from the sides of the stone down to the ground, where they form straight lines. The Serapeum of Saqqara is traditionally labeled an ancient Egyptian necropolis near Cairo, yet the evidence suggests it may originate from a far older, pre-Egyptian, possibly Antediluvian civilization that predates dynastic Egypt altogether. The site is defined by a series of colossal granite boxes, commonly described as sarcophagi, whose scale and precision far exceed what is credibly achievable with known Egyptian tools and methods. Each box was carved from a single block of granite, one of the hardest natural stones, with finished weights reaching around 70 tons, implying original raw blocks closer to 200 tons. Their geometry is exact, perfectly square corners, flawlessly flat internal surfaces, and tolerances comparable to modern industrial machining. Such extreme precision, achieved thousands of years before recorded Egyptian engineering, strongly implies the inheritance or reuse of artifacts from an advanced, lost civilization whose technological capabilities were later misunderstood or mythologized by dynastic Egyptians. One of the most striking features of these boxes is their interior surfaces, which are equally precise and smooth as the exteriors. Achieving such accuracy on the inside of a stone box, particularly with the tools supposedly available at the time, seems impossible. The walls of the boxes are of uniform thickness, suggesting the use of sophisticated measuring and cutting equipment. This level of uniformity and precision in stonecraft is rarely found in other ancient Egyptian artifacts, leading to questions about the technology and methods used in their construction. Moreover, the process of hollowing out these massive granite blocks would have required significant understanding and control of stone-cutting techniques. The conventional tools of the ancient Egyptians, primarily made of copper, would have been inadequate for shaping such hard stone with the precision observed. This discrepancy has fueled theories suggesting that the builders of the Serapeum possessed advanced technological knowledge, potentially including high-speed drills, diamond-tipped cutting tools, or other sophisticated machinery. Another aspect that intrigues researchers is the purpose of these boxes. Traditionally believed to be sarcophagi for the burial of sacred Apis bulls, this explanation has been questioned due to the box's elaborate and precise construction, which seems excessive for mere burial purposes. Some theorists propose that these boxes were used for purposes that required precise dimensions and smooth surfaces, perhaps related to some form of energy manipulation or scientific process unknown to modern science. Additionally, the granite boxes also possess acoustic properties.
What is capitalism?
The transportation and placement of these massive boxes are also subjects of wonder. The Serapeum's underground tunnels are narrow and winding, making the movement of such large objects a logistical challenge. Also, why are there no signs of torches, such as burn marks, anywhere in the Serapeum of Saqqara? What kind of lighting did they use to illuminate these underground spaces? In contrast to these theories, mainstream archaeology attributes the precision and craftsmanship of the granite boxes to the skill and patience of ancient craftsmen who, over generations, perfected their stone-working techniques. Critics of the advanced technology theory argue that there is no direct archaeological evidence supporting the existence of machinery or tools sophisticated enough to create these boxes in ancient Egypt. Creating such precision in ancient times would have required not only advanced tools but also a sophisticated understanding of engineering and geometry. The scale and precision of the boxes in the Serapeum are not replicated in any modern granite quarries, indicating that the ancient Egyptians, or perhaps a pre-existing civilization, had access to technology and knowledge that are not yet fully understood. But we are obliged to mention the many other fascinating and massive granite boxes found in Egypt. Each one of them exhibits details suggesting the use of some form of lost, ancient technology far beyond what has traditionally been understood or accepted. Take a look at this giant granite box displayed at the Cairo Museum. This box, significant yet not widely known, is believed to have been abandoned by the Egyptians due to a mistake in the cutting process. The irregular, slanted cut, deemed an error, led to the abandonment of this particular stone block. However, this apparent mistake inadvertently provides strong evidence of a sophisticated advanced tooling method, far surpassing the capabilities attributed to the ancient Egyptians. The cut extends deep into the hard granite, making it impossible to fit a chisel inside. The conventional theory, widely espoused by modern researchers, is that the ancient Egyptians used slow, primitive copper-based saws for cutting granite. Yet, this theory falls short when scrutinized. Trials replicating this method demonstrated an excruciatingly slow cutting rate of only 4 millimeters or 0.15 inches an hour. At such a slow pace, it is highly implausible that the artisans would not have noticed and corrected a deviation as significant as the one seen in the granite box. Where the cut should have continued, the stone has been marked with a groove. Even this mark is precise and smooth. Moreover, it appears the granite was cut from two sides simultaneously, most likely by two circular saws, with one cutting from above and one cutting from below. To see such a smooth and perfectly precise stone cutting, we have to assume that they were using some sort of sophisticated machine capable of rapidly cutting through granite. We can also see precise saw marks in another granite box in the Cairo Museum, which is just a few steps away. The marks we see here look like the marks left by a type of saw strikingly similar to a modern bandsaw, but with capabilities suggesting a much higher speed of operation. In contemporary terms, such an advanced cutting mechanism requires the use of diamonds, specifically a diamond-encrusted blade, to slice through granite efficiently. The existence of such advanced tooling presents a historical anomaly. During the dynastic times of ancient Egypt, there is no recorded evidence of diamond technology or tools with diamond incrustations being used or even existing. Another strange box-like artifact is this one. On top of it, there are a series of circles that are perfectly smooth, most likely made with some sort of machine, as they are completely identical. On the side of the object, there are strange burn marks that left significant damage to the stone. The head of whatever caused this marks must have been immense. The exact purpose of this artifact is still unknown. This box, made from red granite, has even more spectacular marks. Not only is it perfectly hollowed out and shaped with precise right angles, but it also has these strange tube drill holes. These drill holes are exactly the same size, penetrating the granite at an intense depth. It's almost undeniable that these marks were made with an advanced machine rather than simple bronze tools. And if this isn't enough to convince you, take a look at this granite artifact, which also exhibits tube drilling techniques. If you look closer, you can even see the spiral grooves on the piece. These grooves display uniform depth and spacing, and are evident in all the drilled holes of the artifact. Given that the holes intersect, the consistency of these grooves would be unlikely if they were the result of an abrasive slurry. Core 7 is a remarkable cylindrical piece of granite discovered near the Great Pyramids that is at least 4,500 years old. This ancient artifact is notable for its perfectly spaced, continuous spiral groove, reminiscent of a vinyl record's grooves. Such precision suggests a level of technology seemingly beyond the capabilities of ancient Egyptian civilization, known to possess only soft copper tools, inadequate for drilling into hard granite. The mystery deepens when considering the nature of the groove. Traditional Egyptian tools, like the bow drill, produced a distinct back-and-forth pattern, unlike the single, continuous spiral found on Core 7. This pattern is more akin to the marks left by modern, rapidly rotating drills, suggesting a drilling method far advanced for its time. Modern machinery capable of creating a similar core operates at high speeds and often employs diamond tips, a material hard enough to penetrate granite. This raises the provocative question of whether ancient Egyptians might have had access to such advanced drilling techniques, potentially involving materials as hard as diamond. The groove's shape on Core 7 not only defies the expected capabilities of ancient Egyptian technology, but also implies a drilling force greater than that of contemporary power drills. Analysis of the spacing between each spiral turn indicates a drilling pressure that surpasses modern equipment, hinting at an unknown, highly advanced civilization or technology.
The core was made by a drilling process with greater strength than a modern power drill. What does this tell us? There are no tools of that caliber that we know of.
If you were impressed by the granite boxes we showed you so far, you will be stunned by the ones on Elephantine Island. This site is like a graveyard of advanced technology, as it's filled with scattered remains of extremely precise granite artifacts, cut and shaped to perfection. The only structure that was left in relatively good shape is this massive box, which Egyptologists call a shrine. It features a pointed or pyramid-like top, sharply defined, possibly once housing a benben-like stone or point similar to the Old Kingdom pyramids. Additionally, the box is not completely hollowed out but includes inset edges and a large step or platform inside. The box's interior showcases precise 90-degree corners with tiny inside radii. Around the inset edge, we can find large tube drill holes, which were probably pivot points for some sort of mechanism. The smooth, flat surfaces, sharp corners, and intricate details suggest a level of accuracy that these primitive tools could not achieve. Further examination of the box reveals a semicircular edging running around the top and bottom. This edging, seemingly carved from a single piece of granite, is evidently the result of a now-lost technology. What's more shocking is that this granite altar, as they call it, is not a unique creation. The entire site is filled with the broken remains of dozens of such altars, all showcasing the exact same features and precise carvings. It's like the entire site was a modern factory that manufactured these artifacts in large quantities until something happened that destroyed the entire site. And all of these granite boxes and artifacts we showed you are just the beginning. There are countless more, all of which possess features and qualities resulting from advanced machinery. Perhaps the most precise granite box found anywhere in the world is the one discovered beneath the pyramid at Lahun. There, inside a chamber made of polished, curved granite stones, we find this remarkable tilted granite box that is perfectly flat along the top side. When researchers measured the four corners of the box with modern equipment, they were stunned to find that they are near identical. A similarly startling mystery can be found at Mastaba 17, a monument located near Medum. Beneath a crumbling pile of mud bricks lies an enormous megalithic stone chamber containing a precision-cut stone box, precisely fashioned with perfect corners inside and out from a single piece of granite. The lid has rising rectangular edges and there are knobs on the ends. Is it possible that all of these granite boxes and artifacts were the leftovers of a lost prehistoric civilization that flourished before the Egyptians? Perhaps this will explain why such sophisticated objects were used for such primitive purposes as sarcophagi, because the Egyptians who found them didn't know their real purpose, just like us today. It's evident that whoever this antediluvian pre-Egyptian civilization was, they possessed advanced technologies lost to time. Many propose that the Egyptians who inherited the ruins and lost knowledge of this civilization incorporated their technologies into their mythology, as they didn't fully understand them. They believe that many ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic depictions of sacred symbols and objects are actually depictions of these lost technologies whose purpose was not fully understood by the dynastic Egyptians. The Djed pillar and the Ankh are iconic symbols of ancient Egypt. While separated by thousands of years and vastly different cultural contexts, a comparison of the Djed pillar and Tesla's technological innovations reveals a striking similarity. The Djed pillar, with its distinctive appearance featuring a broad base, a column-like body, and multiple horizontal bars at the top, holds a revered place in ancient Egyptian mythology and iconography. It is often interpreted as a symbol of stability and regeneration, closely associated with the god Osiris. In the mythological and religious context of ancient Egypt, the Djed was a potent symbol of the enduring nature of life and the order of the universe. Comparing the Djed pillar to Tesla's technology might seem far-fetched at first glance. However, the comparison becomes intriguing when considering the symbolic representation of energy and power in both contexts. The Djed pillar, as a symbol of stability and regeneration, can be metaphorically linked to the concept of continuous energy flow and the perpetual cycle of life and renewal. Tesla's work, particularly his experimentation with wireless energy and electromagnetic fields, resonates with this idea of a continuous, omnipresent source of power. Some speculative theories suggest that the Djed pillar could represent an ancient knowledge of electrical power or energy, drawing parallels to Tesla's vision of harnessing and distributing energy. These theories propose that the Djed, with its columnar shape and horizontal bars, bears a resemblance to components of electrical systems or devices used for energy transmission. The Dendera light is a fascinating topic steeped in mystery and intrigue, centering on the bas-reliefs in the Hathor Temple at Dendera. These reliefs have sparked widespread speculation and debate about the possibility of ancient Egyptians having knowledge of electricity. The reliefs in question depict what some interpret as large, elongated objects reminiscent of light bulbs. Priests hold these objects aloft, with more miniature figures below them directing the light bulb upwards. Inside them are snake-like forms, which some suggest represent filaments. A two-armed jed pillar is also present. We already talked about the jed pillar and how it resembles components of electrical systems or devices used for energy transmission. On another bas relief, a peculiar device is depicted featuring lines extending from the object on the left side. Often likened to a necklace, it also bears resemblance to a stylized technological device. Should the interpretation of these lines as electrical wires hold true, then the spheres might actually represent insulators. This object appears to be connected to a type of battery, which in turn is linked to what seems to be a distribution mechanism. This setup echoes the circuitry designs found in vintage automobiles, particularly in petrol combustion engines, due to its simplicity and efficacy in facilitating continuous electric discharge. The hypothesis that these reliefs depict an ancient form of electrical lighting was popularized by Norwegian electrical engineer and Austrian authors Peter Krasa and Rainer Habeck. They published a book titled Light of the Pharaohs: High Technology and Electricity in Ancient Egypt. Walter Garn, another electrical engineer, even constructed a working model based on the Dendera light, supporting the theory. If the Egyptians encountered these lost technologies left by an antediluvian civilization, it's only natural for a culture that doesn't understand the technology to view it as divine and incorporate it into its religious beliefs. In the Temple of Seti in Abydos, an extraordinary discovery has stirred a significant debate within the scientific community. It was during an examination by Egyptologist Dr. Ruth Hover that a particularly startling find came to light. In the temple at Abydos, she photographed a wall panel in a section where an overlaying panel with Egyptian hieroglyphics crumbled and fell, revealing an older panel beneath it. This older panel contains figures that suggest representations of advanced technology mirroring that of the modern era. At the bottom appears to be a depiction of an aircraft with a clearly defined rudder. At the top is a shape clearly identified as a modern-day helicopter. To the right of this is a streamlined water vessel, below which is what appears to be a submarine. These representations have sparked intense discussions among scholars and researchers.
And incised in the stone itself of this oldest temple along the Nile, I think the images are of ancient technology that we now have.
We can see the same thing in America with the Quimbaya artifacts, 1,000-year-old gold artifacts depicting airplanes, or the Top Rakal artifact, a 3,000-year-old figurine depicting a flying vehicle. There are also the famous Vimanas of ancient India, the so-called flying chariots of the gods. Could all of these stories be the records of the lost technologies of antediluvian civilizations that were wiped out by cataclysms? Does this prove that the cataclysmic Great Flood described all across the world was real, destroying all advanced antediluvian civilizations? This could explain why we find numerous strange and clearly advanced artifacts, components of some kind of lost technologies that even the Egyptians themselves didn't understand. The schist disk is a remarkable artifact discovered in the ancient burial ground of Saqqara. The disk stands out due to its unique characteristics. Measuring approximately 2 to 2.5 feet in diameter, it exhibits a remarkable craftsmanship that has intrigued scholars. Its intricate design features a series of precise, concentric circular patterns with a central hub, reminiscent of a wheel or gear. This intricacy and precision in its makeup led many to suggest that it could be a remnant of a lost ancient technology or even part of an advanced mechanical device. The disc is notably composed of quartzite, a material known for its hardness, rated 7 out of 10 on the hardness scale. This fact alone has led to questions about its creation, as the dynastic Egyptians of the time are not believed to have had the technology to work with such hard materials. Mainstream historians say it was used for directing water. However, the 3 lobes featured by the disc are not angled in a way that would suggest a function in moving or directing water. Instead, it appears to have been part of a rotating mechanism around a central axis. The craftsmanship displayed in the disc is extraordinary, with thin blades or petals extending from the central hub, each uniformly shaped and symmetrically arranged. Adding to its enigmatic nature are the curious burn marks found on the disc. These marks have not been definitively explained, contributing to the overall mystery of the artifact and linking it even more to the theory that it was part of a larger mechanical device or machine. Some have hypothesized that it might have been part of an ancient timekeeping device, an astronomical instrument, or a piece of machinery used for unknown purposes. Other artifacts that some connect to the disc are these 3 pieces, which look very much like some sort of gear parts that were once part of a mechanical device. The speculation that the schist disc and these gear parts were a remnant of advanced technology is fueled by comparisons with artifacts from other ancient civilizations known for their engineering prowess. The intricate design of these pieces bears some resemblance to components found in later technological artifacts, such as the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek device used for tracking celestial movements. This resemblance has led to theories suggesting a shared knowledge of mechanical engineering among ancient civilizations, possibly hinting at a now-lost advanced technological tradition. Abu Ghurab is a site often overlooked in the shadow of the majestic Giza Plateau and serves as a crucial piece in examining the clues left by the use of advanced ancient technology. Central to the allure of this site are the meticulously crafted bowls, whose origins and purposes spark much debate and fascination. According to mainstream Egyptologists, the massive basins were used to hold sacrificial animal blood, which ran through the round channels cut into the paving. Yet, there is not a single drop of DNA or other evidence to support this theory. Moreover, the placement of the holes near the top rather than at the bottom also makes this theory implausible. The bowls are hewn from large blocks of travertine, and their creation evidently involved the use of ancient high technology and some form of machining. The precise nature of these holes, upon closer inspection, reveals an oval shape rather than a perfect circle, suggesting the use of a specialized drilling technique unknown to modern archaeology. The finish on these artifacts ranges from exceptionally smooth surfaces to sharply angled edges, presenting a stark contrast to the rougher textures found on other parts of the same pieces. On some parts of the perfectly smooth surfaces, we can find additional machining marks. Further intriguing is the suggestion that the shape of these bowls bears a resemblance to components used in modern sonic levitation technology. A proponent of this theory is researcher Alex Putney, who has extensively explored the potential of resonant frequencies and their application in ancient technologies. According to Putney and others who support this viewpoint, the peculiar shapes and precise craftsmanship of the bowls discovered at Abu Ghurab might not have been merely for ceremonial or decorative purposes. Instead, they suggest these artifacts were part of a complex system designed to harness acoustic energy. The theory hinges on the idea that these bowls, when struck or otherwise acoustically activated, could generate specific frequencies conducive to levitating objects or influencing matter in a manner currently understood only in the context of advanced physics. If all of the advanced technologies and massive structures found in Egypt that we can't replicate today were left by a now-lost antediluvian civilization that predated the Egyptians, this could also explain the sudden rise of Egypt. Almost overnight, in historical terms, Egypt appears with a fully developed writing system, complex religious symbolism, precise geometry, and large-scale stone construction, with no clear evolutionary buildup. Hieroglyphs emerge already refined and symbolic, not primitive, as if inherited rather than invented. Massive temples, colossal statues, and precisely aligned monuments appear at the very start of dynastic history, suggesting access to pre-existing knowledge and techniques. This abrupt sophistication implies that early Egyptians may have rediscovered and adapted the legacy of an earlier advanced civilization, rather than creating their culture from scratch. From the very beginning, enormous stone structures rise from the landscape with a level of precision, scale, and planning that implies long-established knowledge. Taken together, these colossal buildings and temples point to a legacy that predates the society traditionally credited with them. They feel less like the first steps of a young civilization and more like the remnants of inherited knowledge, rediscovered and repurposed. The sudden appearance of such monumental architecture suggests not the birth of sophistication, but the continuation of something far older, an echo of a forgotten age whose technological and architectural mastery still challenges our understanding today. Long before recorded history, there were advanced ancient civilizations capable of building gigantic megalithic structures we can't build today. Lifting enormous stone blocks weighing thousands of tons and stacking them with laser-like precision. Blocks we still struggle to lift even with our modern cranes. They crafted mathematically precise, flawless monuments from the hardest stone on Earth, leaving us to wonder who these builders were and how they accomplished the impossible. Were they merely primitive societies, or were they masters of a forgotten technology lost to the sands of time? Uncover the evidence of an ancient, global, and technologically sophisticated civilization that once ruled over our planet, constructing gigantic sites the ruins of which are still standing, before a cataclysmic event erased it from memory. Access our ebook, Prehistoric Megastructures, a nearly 500-page volume packed with images and in-depth analysis of some of the most astonishing and unexplained ancient structures ever discovered, monuments that were clearly built with advanced technology from a time long forgotten. There's a limited discount on the ebook, so make sure to get yours before it's too late.